Notice to the public, if you wish to address the council, please complete the public wishing to address the council form located at the end of the counter and give it to the council clerk prior to the beginning of the meeting. All public comments must be addressed to the council as a whole. Addressing individual council members or staff members is not allowed. Speakers should be courteous in their choice of words or actions, and comments shall be limited to the issues and cannot involve individuals or staff-related matters. Thank you. All cell phones, pagers, and electronic devices used for communication should be silenced for the duration of the meeting. I'd like to call the meeting of the Terrebonne Parish Council, Wednesday, June 8th, to order. And Mr. Carl Harding, could you please lead us in a prayer followed by a pledge?
Heavenly Father, as we come today, we realize, oh God, that you have given us a day that we've never seen before and we will never see again. But as we stand here with breath in our bodies, oh God, we cannot forget the fact that it's only by your grace and your mercy have you brought us safe thus far. And for that, we say thank you. We'd like to have a special blessing to be bestowed upon the Michel family, Councilman Gerald Michel, in his condition that he's in, oh God. We ask that your strong hand and of his understanding, oh God, can actually give him the benefits of knowing that who is God. And, oh God, we ask that you bless us in your darling Son, Jesus' name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we go to our roll call, I want to announce that because of a qualifying disability, we will be accommodating Mr. Gerald Michel, and he will be attending the meeting via Zoom. Mr. Hampton, would you call roll?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Domain?
Here.
Mr. Darren Guidry?
Here.
Mr. Babin? Here. Mr. Dirk Guidry? Here. Mr. Trosclair? Here. Mr. Navy? Mr. Harding? Here. Mr. Michel? Mr. Amade? Here.
Mr. Michel is here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum present.
And Mr. Navy contacted me and said he is running a bit late, but he will be here shortly. Approve the minutes of the regular council session held on May 11th, 2022. Moved by Mr. Dirk Guidry, seconded by Mr. Carl Harding. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Distribute minutes of the special session held on May 25th, 2022, which we've done. Distribute minutes of the regular council session held on May 25th, 2022, which we've also done. Approve accounts payable bill list for May 31st, 2022 and June 6th, 2022. Move Mr. Carl Harding.
Second.
Seconded Ms. Jessica Domain. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Approve manual checklists, April 2022. Move Mr. Dirk Guidry. Seconded Mr. Carl Harding. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. General business, presentation by parish administration relative to capital projects, including drainage, utility, road, and quality of life projects, as well as other matters related to the operations and maintenance of parish government. Mr. Toops.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chairman Guidry. Tonight, I'd like to give a short update on the Lower Petite Caillou Drainage Pump Station project, and also an update on the status of design and the permits on the on the Hollywood Road Extension Bridge project. And then also on my light, Ms. Candace would like to read a brief letter on behalf of President Dove. The Lower Little Caillou Drainage Project is a replacement project. It's going to replace the old Lashbrook pump station. Presently, there are three 36-inch pumps, and we're replacing the three 36-inch pumps with four 48-inch pumps. This project is running at a cost of around $5.3 million, which includes the engineering, LADOTD cost share is roughly $3.2 million. Our cost is $2.1 million. The pump capacity is 440 cubic feet per second, or roughly 180,000 gallons per minute. Again, there's going to be 4 48-inch vertical lift pumps with 450 horsepower diesel engines, a 4,000-gallon diesel fuel storage tank, automatic trash rake system, an emergency backup generator. It's a small 25 kW that handles all the SCADA equipment and all the electrical in the pump station. And we project this project to be completed at the end of the summer of this year. I want to show you all some pictures of the progress of the station. First, we had to reinforce the bridge, and this is on Clinton Street so that we could get the heavy construction equipment to facilitate this project to the project site. These are batter piles. If you see it, they're at an angle, and these piles are driven and they reinforce the flood wall when there's a difference on the pump side versus the suction side of the pump station. The next slide, you can see we've got the batter piles cut to length, and those are the sheet piles that constitute the flood wall. These concrete piles support the actual foundation of the pumps and the motors and the floor of the pump station. Here's a picture of an excavator. Right now, in that picture, they're excavating the pump sump area. If you look closely, you can see the black cloth, and we're installing in this picture the limestone base that goes underneath the concrete sump, and that's shown in this picture. We try to put concrete sumps in all of our new pump stations. And then what you see on these pictures are the concrete power caps. Again, these are the supports for the pump foundation itself. And Keith, do you have the next presentation? Yeah, just want to give everybody an update on the Hollywood Road Extension Bridge project. Here's an artist rendition of the bridge. It's going to be 3 lanes. At the bottom is Highway 182. At the top is Hollywood Road Extension and southbound Mandalay. It's another artist rendition of the bridge. Is going to be high enough to where we can have recreational boats float under it. Another rendition, and just some talking points on it. This project is going to cost around $2.5 million. We did the final design November of last year. We submitted it to LADOTD. They came back to us with additional requests for comments. And basically what they wanted was an additional information from the traffic study, which was done by the subcontractor, Neil Schaefer. It seems that the LADOTD is not quite sure if they want to put a traffic light or not and how to time it. So we submitted the information that was requested by LADOTD to them on April 14th, and we're waiting on word from them on the permit and whether they're going to want to install a traffic light or not. And I'll answer any questions on either one, but before I relinquish my light, Miss Candace would have a letter to read. I don't know if we want to do that before, and then we can answer any questions on any of the 3 issues. So if you're okay with that, I'd like for Ms. Candace to read the letter.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Candace.
Thank you, sir. So this is a letter from Mr. Dove. He would like to apologize for not being at tonight's council meeting, but he is currently in Washington, D.C. on behalf of Terrebonne Parish and the state of Louisiana at the Go Mesa Revenue Sharing Coalition meeting. He says he knows that there is a lot of anxiety on the status of the Houma power plant, and once all damage assessments and funding sources are identified, he will present a more detailed update with the preliminary drawings. As of right now, our objectives as we move forward, the first one is our goal to engineer and build a 100 megawatt state-of-the-art power plant for future needs. We are currently working with our consultants on securing federal funding as well as insurance proceeds to make this happen. Those consultants include Royal Engineer and GIS that were chosen through federal procurement process guidelines and ratified by the Parish Council. Currently, GIS and its team of engineering companies are assessing the damages to the power plant from Hurricane Ida, and they are hoping to have this assessment complete late July or early August. And at that point, we'll be able to do a full presentation on what the damages are. With a new 100 megawatt power plant to be built on Barrow Street in Terrebonne Parish, we can have a backup generating system for Terrebonne while distributing electricity to the MISO grid distribution. And this will help offset the $4 million plus a year cost Terrebonne Parish has to LIPA Unit Number 1 that was built in Morgan City. We also have VNF Solutions, which is Mary Landrieu's group, along with Royal and GIS, that are diligently working on securing us both federal hurricane relief monies, insurance monies, and FEMA for this. So Mr. Dove says, in closing, I, Gordon Dove, am personally handling the recovery and rebuild of the power plant, along with Candace Malden, the numerous consultants and engineering companies, Jules Hebert, lobbyists Tanner Johnson and Mary Landrieu, as well as input from Ernest Brown and other department heads. And this is a unique opportunity to upgrade our power plant and electrical grid and distribution system for the city of Houma. And that is from Mr. Dove.
Anything else, Mike, before we open it to questions?
No, sir, that's what I said, unless
Okay.
we have any questions on any three of the issues.
Mr. Babin.
Yes, Candace, I'm glad Mr. Dove sent a letter in. That gives the explanation. I hope the Houma Courier gets the entire letter, and HTV will have it naturally on there. This answers the questions that constituents have been asking. They don't want to know particular details. They just want to know in general what was going on, and that's the only reason I put it on the agenda, so which we will pull, because that was an excellent explanation of it. So thank you very much. And the other one I have to Mike is I thought a while back that the state said they definitely wanted a signal light on the 182 side. So now they're possibly saying that we will not need it?
That's right. We're getting kind of a wishy-washy answer from them,
Okay.
and that's why they requested more information from the engineers that did the traffic study. And we've submitted that information to them as of April, and we answered all of their questions, and we're still, our viewpoint is that we don't care. If you decide you want a light, let us know, but let us know one way or the other, because you're holding up our project.
And that's the thing, that's what I'm getting at, because it's been told to me that this has held up the project, and that we need that bridge, simply because it's gonna solve a little bit of one problem and maybe create a little bit of another one, but at least we'll know where we are. It's gonna solve some of the problem at 182 and St. Charles by the hotel. It will create a little bit more of a problem at Hollywood and Valhalla, all right? But we, in the process of talking about possible roundabout at that particular location or whatever, it's gonna move some of that flow. Once we changed the light at St. Charles and 182 and made a turn lane about a year ago, that's alleviated some of the problems. But no, this bridge is vital. The Mandalay side will continue to have the caution light, I'm assuming, like we have right now. Okay, that's great. This is a good project for a number of districts. Thank you.
Well, and I spoke to the engineers. In fact, just today I spoke to GIS engineers about this particular project. You know, and there may also be an issue with southbound Mandalay as far as the state requiring lights there, because they're looking at the entire intersection, 182 southbound Mandalay as one intersection. And so, you know, but I have some ideas that might work on southbound Mandalay that I'm talking with the engineers. I'm supposed to meet with them about that will solve that. But I think we're going to have to put a light at 182. There's no, you know, I think that's pretty much decided. But the southbound Mandalay piece is the one that's kind of up in the air. Let me go to Mr. Harding, and then we'll go to Mr. Michel.
Yes, in supporting the constituents of Mr. Babin and the rest of the people in Terrebonne Parish, from my professional opinion, from working on the highways, it's an area that if we don't have any lights that's there, we should use more areas of caution lights too, because there's two curves that's in there. So we're gonna have traffic that's on a highway with a high speed, a reasonable speed. Whereas it's coming out one of those curves and someone is stopped and they have large trucks and have a difficult time. So considerations with the survey that's going to be done, hopefully they'll consider that for the safety of the passengers on the highway. Thank you.
Is that all, Mr. Harding? All right, Mr. Michel.
Thank you, Chairman. My point is, down the bayou, we had all kind of trouble getting these lights on for, I think it was Thompson Road, for so long, and there were accidents and there were concerns, and it was brought up at meeting after meeting. If there's anybody that can put this forth to get this done up front, so we don't have that back end problem, because it's going to be a back end problem. So, and maybe somebody wants to make a motion to send something to the state that the council requests that we have lights on both sides of that new bridge. And if y'all think that's a good idea, I'll be glad to make that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to ask administration to consider.
A motion to let Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development know that the Terrebonne Parish Council believes that we need lights on both sides of that bridge, and we would like for them to move forward with that in mind.
Okay, so we make a motion to have staff inform the Department of Transportation and Development that the Parish Council supports a red light at both intersections at 182 and at southbound Mandalay. We have a second by Mr. Dirk Guidry. Is that it, Mr. Michel?
Yes.
Mr. Babin?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the motion. It's just saying that we as a council are backing this. It seems to be already in motion with the state and our administration, but I don't have any problem with that.
Thank you, Mr. Babin. Mr. Dirk Guidry?
Well, I really think, at least sending this to DOT as a full parish council might carry a little bit of weight, but you're right, Mr. Michel, at the bridge at Thompson Road, we tried to get the state to put in a traffic light way before the road was even built, and they fought us, and then after about, I'm gonna say 20, 25 accidents, and with a van flipped over with kids in it, they finally agreed, but it was like pulling teeth. The only reason that we did get a light is because I went straight to the governor and talked to the governor and told the governor the problem that we were having. And I talked to him on a Monday night, and by Thursday, that light was approved. So, I mean, somebody might have to go straight to the governor, because DOT dragged their feet so long, there were people that were getting injured at this light. One time, DOTD was doing a study of this intersection, and there was a big pileup right in front of them, and they still declined to put a traffic light. So it's like pulling teeth with DOTD, So I think, even whatever kind of weight our parish council has with DOTD, I think a letter is warranted. Thank you.
Mr. Babin?
Yeah, just to add one thing to that, Thompson Road starts on Highway 57 in Dulac, if you want to say it starts there or ends there, and it ends on 56. We had an extreme problem on either end of Hollywood Road, and it was all exacerbated by the state dragging their feet. And Entergy had a little bit to do with it also. But Mr. Guidry is right. You had multiple accidents, and then finally they agreed to put the lights up.
And of course, the difference here is, of course, we were asking DOTD to put the lights up at that intersection, but the intersection at Southbound Mandalay, since it's a parish road, will probably have to be paid for by the parish. That'll be the only difference, just because it's a parish bridge meeting a parish road. But other than that, but 182 is a state road. So, anything else, Mr. Hoops?
That's it. No, thank you.
Thank you. I'd also hold on, Mr. Michel, you got something?
Yeah, just to comment on what you just said, the whole purpose for doing this is on the Southbound Mandalay side is because they're treating it as one big intersection. So if the state is treating it that way, they're not going to allow us to do it, or they will allow us to do it. And we need to just send them strong language saying this needs to be done. We don't want another Thompson Road like that.
No doubt. Mr. Dirk Guidry?
Yeah, when DOT didn't want to do it, I had got with Mr. Dove, and the parish was going to pay for it out of our own pocket to try to save lives if the state wasn't going to do it, because we knew how dangerous of an intersection it was. And I mean, what's a few $100,000 compared to our life? So we need to do whatever we got to do to keep our public safe.
Amen to that, Miss. Anything else? All right. Before we move along. Oh, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Before we move along, I'd like to introduce Mr. Christian Bergeron, who's here representing Congressman Garrett Graves, and of course Doug Sheremy, who's here representing our district attorney, Jeff Landry. Thank y'all for coming to our meeting. What Attorney General? What did I say? District Attorney. Attorney General Jeff Landry. Thanks for the correction. Next item is a motion to discuss with possible action regarding the updated status of the Butte Bridge. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to read it though. Motion to discuss with possible action regarding the current status of the homogeneration station, which Mr. Dove gave the update and report. Item C is the motion to discuss with possible action regarding the updated status of the Butte Bridge. That motion was made by Mr. Danny Babin. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Ms. Jessica Domain. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, go ahead, Mr. Babin.
Yes, the Butte Bridge creates a lot of problems down in the Dulac area, which affects Bar Delorge and every other area. And constituents are constantly calling me, asking me about the bridge. I don't want any specifics. I just want to give the people in the area a little indication of where we're going with it, what could possibly be done, and some type of loose timetable. We know it's not going to be a month. We know it's going to be a lot longer than that. But it creates other problems because of the traffic that is put on Shrimpus Row, which has some drainage issues itself in the 7,000 block. So, Mike, if you can just give some kind of general update on it, I'd appreciate it.
Mr. Toops?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we had gotten a report from Huval and Associates, who was the engineer that we chose to do an assessment on the bridge report some time back. We submitted it to Royal Engineering, who is our consultants that's handling the coordination of the work with FEMA. They submitted it to FEMA. FEMA came back and said this wasn't good enough. They needed a lot more information. So they wanted reports that included, and I'm going to read off a list of 4 items: cost to repair damage to consensus-based codes, cost to bring up the non-damaged part of the bridge to consensus-based codes, cost to replace the bridge in the existing condition, and cost for a new bridge to the current code. And Huval is, and along with Royal Engineering, is working on that, and we expect to get the full report ready to submit to FEMA within the next 2 weeks.
Okay, and I understand all of that, okay, and it takes time on something that's of this magnitude, and we want to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row. As a parish, I'm just asking, and we've been talking about it, Mr. Toops, that we address the Shrimpers Row situation with the drainage, because it's a situation where when the 7,000 block floods, the mail delivery will not pass through water, which means anybody below that gets medication through the mail will not get their medication. So it's one thing begats another, and I just want to make sure that as a parish, we try to at least facilitate that Shrimpers Row a little bit better before, however long it's going to take to either repair or replace the bridge.
Shrimpers Road situation has been turned over to drainage the last at least 2 or 3 weeks. So they have it on their work order system, and hopefully they should be getting to it within I would say the next week or two.
Right. Darren, just to give the people in the audience and watching on television, the reason this is so crucial, there's only 2 ways out there. That's up Shrimpers Row, or it's across the pontoon bridge, which goes to By Delage. If for some reason we lose the By Delage bridge, the only route that we have is going up Shrimpers Row. And if it's flooded, then that creates another situation. So, and Mr. Toops and Public Works are quite aware of it. I get calls almost every day on it, just wanting to know information. And I think the information you gave is gonna satisfy a lot of people. So thank you very much for that. That's it.
All right, next is a motion to discuss with possible action on an updated status of the maintenance of lateral ditches. This was
Mr. Michel.
motion by Mr. Michel, second
Second.
by Ms. Jessica Domingue. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Michel?
Thank you. It's been, what, 8 months since Hurricane Ida, more than that. And we still having problems with these lateral ditches, specifically in Broadmoor, also behind St. Patrick Street in Oshire. And I'm not gonna get into the specific ditches, but it's because it's pretty much all over Broadmoor. Now, in all fairness, we've seen some improvement. We've seen some spraying that's been done, but there's still weeds and small trees that are standing up and that are gonna possibly cause a drainage problem in any storms that we have to come. And people are calling me concerned about this. And, I would like to know that this is being addressed, and I keep getting information through the grapevine. Well, let me ask this question first. Is Mr. Dave Rome there? Because I'm not able to see.
Mr. Rome is not. Mr. Toops, did you want to address
I have a
this?
report from Mr. Rome ready to give.
Okay, can I listen to that? That'd be great.
Okay, go ahead, Mr.
Okay.
Toops.
Yeah, I got a report from Mr. Rome. Public Works presently has 3 crews working on the lateral ditch cleaning, and including debris removal and maintenance, either sweeping, digging, cutting, or spraying. We also have a maintenance contractor with 3 additional crews that's doing the same thing. We estimate that we've cleaned and cleared roughly 60% of the lateral ditches in the parish since Hurricane Ida. Parish-wide, we average 45 laterals cleaned every 6 weeks. The big issue is right now, we only have 3 operators in Public Works, and we should have at least 7. So we have 4 openings that we're advertising for, and unfortunately, that's part of the 70 to 80 people that we looking to hire. And hopefully when we get them hired, that will improve the situation. But I would offer to Mr. Michel, if there are specific lateral ditches that are causing drainage problems, please call them in and let us know, and we can put those as a priority, and we will take care of them on a priority basis. So that applies to any one of you. If there are any laterals in your districts that have problems that do cause back flooding, please let us know, and we will get to them. We'll put them on the top of the list rather than try to get them in our regular schedule maintenance program.
Mr. Michel, do you have anything else?
Yes, please. Thank you, Mr. Toops. I appreciate the report. And my concern, and this is perhaps a parish-wide issue, not just drainage, but we have to do something to address why we cannot get people hired. And you know, a thought might be to do some hires, some individual hires that are some contract hires, as opposed to full-time employee hires, and get these people in and pay them more for a temporary period of time. I'm certain we must have tax money coming in through all of this rebuilding that's being done right now. We must have some money that can offset some of this stuff. And I realize it may take council action, and it definitely takes administrative action, but we need to take a look at that. We can't just keep on going saying we don't have enough people to do it. We have to find a way to get enough people to do it. And the 60% is, you know, I've heard that number before, and that's primarily, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm told that it's been more spraying and not as much cutting. But even if it's cutting, if we got 60% of the parish done in this amount of time, with the way things are growing right now, we're back starting over with that first 1%. And so these are things that people want to know answers to, and we're not getting answers to. And I realize there's some reasons that we may not be able to have the answers right now. But as a council and as an administration, we need to find a way to come up with those answers. And that's what I wanted to bring forth in public. Because especially in the situation that I'm in now, I don't want people to think, oh, well, he's not here, so he's not doing anything. Well, you know, I'm doing my best, and I'm trying to point it out. And I think everybody, I think all council people, I think all administration, I think everybody wants to look for a solution to this. But we need to maybe start thinking outside the box and see what we can actually find as a solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Michel. Ms. Domingue.
Yeah, and I appreciate Mr. Michel putting this on the agenda, because this is also a problem in District 5, the district that I represent. And Mr. Michel, they haven't gotten to Lisa Park either, so it's not just Broadmoor, I promise. And I too get told the same thing, that they're very backed up. And so hopefully we can get a little bit more of a status on kind of where they are, or if we can have a time frame of when they're going to make it. But since this was on the agenda, I also wanted to ask about the water lilies. It seems to be incredible the amount of lilies we've got right now, especially in St. Louis Canal and behind Morrison, and they don't seem to be moving or going anywhere. So I just was curious, what's the plan for the lilies? Do we have a plan for the lilies? What's going to happen? Because I was told they were going to be sucked out by the pumps when we had some rain. Well, we had some rain and it never got sucked out. So just curious what's going on with the lilies.
Mr. Toops, did you want to address that? Or?
I believe Mr. Nakan is spraying them. I'm not quite sure. I don't know if there's any program in the parish that we actually are actively spraying the lilies. I know the state won't touch it. Wildlife and Fisheries won't touch it. We've tried every avenue to contact outside agencies to help us with the water lilies, and we can't seem to get any help from anybody.
I know that didn't answer your question. Anything else, Ms. Domingue?
No, thank you.
Mr. Harding.
Yeah, I would like to honestly say that, you know, kind of miss Gerald from being up here. It was good. You look good, Gerald. I think the grass cutting and the lateral ditches kind of comes under the same heading. Either it's going to be through the contractor that we actually subcontract out who does the spraying. It is, to my knowledge, me and Mr. Toops had a conversation along trying to set up something where we found out that the contractor actually does the spraying. We have the equipment, they supplied the personnel to actually do the spraying. We discussed the fact that in support of Mr. Toops and what we were trying to figure out, because it is a problem that we don't have enough personnel. Again, we can actually, that's another animal that we have, but then we lack personnel, but then we have to be more efficient and use a combination of spraying. The idea there was to actually try to get the contract sprayer and the cutting on the same page. And then if we actually get ahead of the game with a combination of both, we trying to work on, I thought of an idea to bring to them to get everybody together to suppress it for at least 2 months. So we didn't have an opportunity to do so. We also, me and Mr. Toops has spoke in reference to try to also coordinate in certain areas with the state, create a better relationship with the state so we can actually work on things as a whole across the parish. It's unfortunate that the area that we live in, and we've been bagged up with a lot of debris in our ditches. We had a conversation this morning about some debris in Bayou Terrebonne. We also asking some of the people within the parish to be patient. There are a number of circumstances, and like Mr. Michel said, you know, I mean, we're all up here. We have certain areas in our districts that really need the attention because of the grass, and I'm willing to assist, and we've actually started a process to try to do something to make something better. So hopefully we can work this out with the lateral ditches. It's been a concern of everyone in Terrebonne Parish. Thank you.
Mr. Trosclair.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mike, Bayou Blue is basically drainage lateral ditch. You know, it's Bayou Blue, but it basically just serves as lateral. And I've been trying to see who we got to get to go in there and clean that ditch out, that bayou, because from around 1500, the address of 1500 south all the way to Company Canal, and 1500 actually starts probably about a mile and a half before you get, coming from north, before you get to Prospect Road. Then it crosses over all the way to Company Canal. That it's really, in some places, before, north of Prospect, it's mainly fill in and vegetation. Once you cross Prospect, then there's trees that have been knocked over for the storm that's pretty much totally blocking the bayou. So I mean, I've talked to David Rome, but we need to try to get something expedited. Here we are in another storm season, coming up to the rainy season, and that is a major drainage area for those people in that area. So it's a bayou. My understanding is the center of the bayou or the center of the road is. Some people say the road is the parish line. Some people say the bayou is the parish line. So I really think the bayou is all in Terrebonne Parish, but nobody can give me. I can't get a straight answer from nobody. But either way, I mean, we need to see who we can, what we can do to get that bayou cleaned out all the way to Company Canal to get the drainage done. Thank you.
I will talk to Mr. Rome and to Mr. Naki and see between the two of them if we can come up with some kind of plan.
Mr. Babin.
Yeah, I mean, we live in a subtropical area, and as Steve just said, the rainy season is getting ready to start. This is not just one district. This is all 9 districts that we have problems, not only with laterals, but those of us that represent down the bayou, the lilies are going to get bad. They're going to get worse is what they're going to do. And it sounded like it just said, we don't spray it, the state doesn't want to spray it, and Wildlife and Fisheries doesn't want to spray it. That seems like a dilemma that we're going to have here. I mean, I don't know, and it would be more Candace involved in this, but I know we got some American recovery money. I mean, we need to create a situation where we're taking care of it. And hopefully that can be done under, Mr. Clay Narcan's area, okay? I mean, we've spent, and justifiably so, a lot of money on pumps in this parish. But if we can't get water to the pumps because the laterals or the canals are blocked up, the pumps are not efficient. So, again, we need to address this situation sooner rather than later, because I know Mr. Guidry's got his light on. I guarantee you, by Petite Caillou will be blocked up before very long. By Grand Caillou is gonna be blocked up. Steve had problems last year. We had to get a tug to eat up water lilies and move it in that particular area. So it's not gonna go away this year. So again, I don't know the answer. I wish I did, because then it's just a money problem. But we need to maybe think a little bit more out the box on this one and see what we can do. Thank you.
Mr. Harding.
Yes, and to clarify something that I forgot, Highway 316 in that particular area is actually serviced by DOTD, and DOTD actually goes all the way down to the Intercoastal Canal, just across from there, and that company actually is handled out of a Raceland crew. So even though that does incorporate Terrebonne Parish, they cut both sides of 316. So the total responsibility is not really going to whether it's for Terrebonne or Lafourche or Terrebonne is responsible. All of that is the responsibility, to the best of our knowledge, is the responsibility of the state. Now, the services, so far as the aquatic spring and the lilies, that's a different contract, perhaps with the wildlife and fishery. That might be the possibility. I don't really necessarily know exactly what that is, but it's not totally the responsibility on some of those byways for Terrebonne Parish itself. Thank you.
Mr. Guidry.
Yeah, you guys just don't know how to talk sweet to nobody. No, on the by Little Caillou, I called Tanner McGee about the water lilies because it was clogged up in by Little PT Caillou, whatever you want to call it. I called him on Friday afternoon, 8 o'clock Monday morning. They were spraying water lilies in the bayou. So, I mean, I know in these bayous, I don't know about these little canals like St. Louis Canal, because that's not a state problem. But in our bayous like Bayou Grand Caillou and Montague, I called Tanner McGee. Like I said, I called him Friday afternoon. Monday morning, they were spraying water lilies. And you're right with the lateral ditches, Gerald. They need to be cleaned up a little bit better. And you got to understand, you know, I own a business. There's a lot of people own businesses. We short-handed, guys. It's hard to get somebody even to walk through the door to give a job application, you know. And we, as the parish, to clean these lateral ditches out, it's just not somebody that you could just pick up off the street and throw them in an excavator or a machine and train them in 2 or 3 days. So it's a process that's going to take us a good while. But the main problem is people just don't want to work anymore, you know. I don't know what it's going to take to get these people back since COVID, where the government just gave them money and they decided, hey, sitting on the couch is the best thing to do. But we need to get these people some kind of way to come back to work. But a major problem we having with Terrebonne Parish is we don't pay the people enough. There's no way that an operator that can run an excavator is going to come to the parish and make $15 an hour when he can go work for Mr. John Armady's company and make $30 an hour. So the problem is we train these people on these machines, and after they trained, they leave and they go work for $30 an hour, $35 an hour. So I know our budget's coming up. I hope Candace and all can sharpen them pencils, because we need to try to figure a way to pay these parish employees more, and we're going to attract more people, and that we could fix a lot more of our problems. But the major problem right now is with our workforce in Terrebonne Parish. And it's not just in Terrebonne Parish. It's throughout the United States. Wherever you go and you look, I mean, they pay people $14, $15 an hour to flip a hamburger, you know, and we pay somebody $14, $15 an hour to run a $500,000 machine. So that's where our problem lies, you know. It's just not that the parish doesn't want to do it. It's just we don't have the manpower to do it. And, you know, I just don't know what it's gonna take, but I know increasing these people's pay would help out a lot. So whatever you can do, Candace, if you need a pencil sharpener, baby, I'm ready to buy you one. Thank you. But Danny, they did do the water lilies. I know, you call your state representative for Steve, you know, I mean, that's me and Tanner, but call your state representative if you have a problem right over there. And, wildlife and fisheries will come out and spray them. Now, I've had problems before where it took me screaming and hollering and begging for them to get it done. So I don't know why we got it done on a Friday and it got done Monday. I have no idea, but I'm thankful for it, you know. So thank you, Tanner McGee.
Ms. Domingue.
Yeah, and Dirk, you brought up a question for me, because I'm hearing conflicting messages. You're saying that you were able to get them sprayed, but Mr. Toop said the state's not doing it, Wildlife and Fisheries isn't doing it. So how was he able to get the water lilies sprayed, but we can't get the water lilies sprayed in our area?
Because I'm Mr. Guidry.
And it's two different things. So you're doing state waterways, and then we're doing parish waterways. So Mr. Toops, why is it that they can get them done in his area, but we can't get them done in our area?
This problem goes back to when I was with Public Works, and I remember calling every number I could possibly call, and I called the Corps of Engineers, I called the Wildlife and Fisheries, I called state, and I guess I didn't know who to call. But if it takes calling our state delegation, probably the one that could probably have the most effect would be President Dove, to call and tell them we got a problem with all of our bayous, and ask him if they can address all of them.
So I don't mind calling Mr. McGee. He's actually my neighbor, and so we have a really good relationship. And so I could call him. You guys can call him. President Dove can call him. But we definitely need to get something done. And if it can happen in one area, it should be able to happen in every area. So thank you.
And I know Councilman Carly Harding and I want to throw Bayou Black into that mix, because that's a bayou that, you know, you can't even put a pirogue in, you know. Mr. Babin.
Yeah, Bayou Black is also my area. Okay, all I want to know is, we kind of reiterating here. We say the parish doesn't do it. We say Wildlife and Fisheries doesn't do it. We say the state doesn't do it. What agency did Tanner McGee get to do that? Do you have any idea?
Can you answer that, Mr. Guidry? I don't know.
No, I sure don't, Danny, but it's usually Wildlife and Fisheries that does it. One year when I was really having problems and I couldn't get them sprayed, I went directly to the Secretary of Wildlife and Fisheries. I picked up the phone and I called, I forget what his name was, or Barnett or whatever.
Yeah, well, there's a new one now.
Yeah,
But
I picked up the phone and called directly to him, and that's how I got it done.
I mean, we can all call those agencies. That's not what we're supposed to be doing. If there is an agency that is in charge of this, then they're not doing their job. Simple and pure. Whether it be the parish, the state, or Wildlife and Fisheries. Again, this is not just one area that's being affected here. It's all areas, okay? And we're gonna have some problems. There's no two ways about it. So, again, Mr. Toops, I think you got the general idea of where we're going here, and I think your idea is right. I think President Dove should be, and I know he's speaking to our representatives and senators, but his weight is gonna be more than our weight on this, okay? So, thank you.
Councilman Harding?
One more thing. So many things after the hurricane. You were talking about the employees. We've lost a lot of people due to the hurricane and perhaps COVID and things like that. And we have a problem of hiring people. But there have been a number of things that we've actually done under the emergency declaration. And let's say, for instance, if there's a possibility that we can actually perhaps use these circumstances and find funding to actually find extra money where we can catch up to a point, regardless of who sprays what. We can just actually use the declaration that we can actually have, because it is a situation and it's becoming really rather hectic. Let's see if we can find some money and perhaps whether it can be under this particular declaration because we have loss of population. And that loss of population creates an deficiency in our ability to hire the proper personnel. So let's put that on the table, see how, if that can actually go out that way to not only just get the personnel that we need, we can also get the funding so we can catch up also. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike, and speaking about spraying, spraying is what the Wildlife and Fisheries has been doing. It's not the greatest solution. It doesn't, you remove all of it and, very quickly it comes back. They do have equipment that can, remove vegetation like that. And I know I've spoken with our Public Works Director. Maybe that's something we need to kind of look into too while we're, retooling some of our employees and see if we need to get, a machine that can just remove for good all of these lilies. And if you do that, multiple times a year, eventually less and less will grow. It's something worth looking at. But we're going to have to be a part of the solution because we're not going to be able to leave it up to a state agency with the bureaucracy that's involved in that and expect them just to do it without us, staying on top of it and somehow being involved in the process. I'm working on that with grass cutting, which we know has been a major problem, and working on some solutions. So hopefully we can solve that down the line. But
Wait till I talk and see.
Mr. Michaud, did you have something else?
No, I'm gonna have something in a minute though.
Okay. All right. Anything else? All right. Moving on. Item E, resolution declaring the necessity for emergency action to address repairs of the Bayou Terrebonne lock, which requires immediate action to correct. Such emergency action includes the acquisition of professional services along with construction services to remove, repair, and replace components to restore the structure to safe operations. Do we have a motion? We have a motion by Mr. Steve Trosclair has the motion, seconded by Mr. Dirk Guidry. Discussion, Mr. Michaud.
Okay, my big question, and I'm reading the backup and it says Gulf Inland Contractors Incorporated apparently hit the bridge. I take it that's one of their vessels, is that correct?
Yes.
And so my other question is are they responsible for their liability in that matter? Are they gonna end up paying for these repairs, or is this something the parish is gonna have to do?
Mr. Jules, can you answer that, or?
As always, and I've said, I would rather not answer legal questions in public, but yes, we do hope that Gulf Inland Contractors steps up to the plate and pays for striking. It's an elision. It's a movable object hitting a fixed object. So with that, that's as much as I'd like to say on that. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you, that's all I needed to know.
Okay, Mr. Michaud, any more discussion on this resolution? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Resolution passes. Item F, resolution authorizing the parish president to enter in a cooperative endeavor agreement with Girls on the Run for the Bayou region. Move Ms. Jessica Domain, seconded by Mr. Dirk Guidry. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? I know we have some representatives from Girls on the Run. Did you want to say something about your event?
Hi, I'm Ami Johnson. I'm the council director, and this is Andrea Nakan. She is the program director. First, we'd just like to say thank you for letting us be a part of this program and this connection. Girls on the Run just really wants to reach every girl in this community. Our mission states that we envision a world where every girl knows and activates her limitless potential. So with this connection, we will be able to get more girls in this community involved in this program. Do y'all have any questions?
I think we do, Ms. Domain.
I I don't have any necessary questions. I do want to note that my daughter participated this year in Girls on the Run, and we did the 5K at Christmas time, and we had a great time. Are you guys having another event coming up?
Our fall season is starting, and at the end of every season, it's a 10-week program, and we have a 5K at the end of every season. So it's every December and every May.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Mr. Trosclair,
Yes.
go ahead. I'm going to get to you, Mr. Michel.
I'm just kind of going quick through it, and it looks like this is for girls 3rd to 5th grades, or is there an age limit?
We serve two different age groups. We have a curriculum for 3rd through 5th grade, and we also have a curriculum that's geared towards 6th through 8th grade.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Michel.
Thank you. And so, Girls on the Run has been a wonderful program in Terrebonne Parish for some time. And I noticed Miss Ami there has somebody that almost looks exactly like her standing next to her. And is that part of the program where people begin to look like you?
We usually start every presentation by saying we are not twins. We are sisters and 7 years apart.
Thank you very much for doing this for the girls in our parish. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Navy.
Just a quick question. Are you all actually like integrated with the school system with this process too, with Girls on Run?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they're involved in that? The elementary schools or the middle school?
Both.
Both the elementary, middle school? Okay.
The Girls on the Run, the 3rd through 5th is the elementary.
Okay.
And then the 5th through 8th.
Do y'all get a lot of participation from them?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, thank you.
I think for the fall season, we have 14 agreements so far from schools, and we have fitness centers as well.
Well, thank you. We're proud to co-sponsor, and thank you for coming to our meeting.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for having us.
Motion go at 6:30.
We have a motion by Mr. Carl Harding to take up the 6:30 public hearing.
Second.
Second, Ms. Jessica Domingue. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The 6:30 public hearing is an ordinance to amend the 2022 adopted operating budget and 5-year capital outlay budget of the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for related matters. La Petite Facility Improvements, $20,000. Houma Police Department LCLE Grant, $30,000. Public once, public twice. Third call for public.
Motion to close.
Motion to close, Mr. Danny Babin, seconded Ms. Jessica Domingue. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to adopt, Mr. Danny Babin, seconded Mr. John Navy. Any discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to go back in regular order, Mr. Danny Babin, seconded Mr. Dirk Gidry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item G, introduce an ordinance to amend ordinance number 9369 to correct clerical errors as presented by the South Central Planning and Development Commission and call a public hearing on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Move Mr. John Amity, seconded by Mr. Dirk Gidry. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have two add-on items. One is an add-on, a resolution proclaiming the appointment of an interim constable to fulfill the vacancy for Terrebonne Parish Ward 2. Mr. Carlton P. Rosans Jr., Mr. Evans Hamner submits application resume for consideration, and the other add-on is a resolution proclaiming a special election for the office of Terrebonne Parish Constable Ward 2. Do I have a motion to add these two items on? Moved by Mr. John Amity, seconded by Mr. Danny Babin. Do we have any discussion of whether we should add them on or not? Mr. Gerald Michel?
Yeah, I just want to know if this has any effect of any notice that needs to be given for other people who might want to apply for the same interim position.
Mr. Hebert issued a legal opinion on that issue. Of course, this is just to fulfill the position until an election is held. Go ahead, Mr. Hebert.
Yes, Mr. Gidry. By law, when you have a vacancy, the state statutes provide how that vacancy is handled. In this particular case, the council, which is the local governing body, has 20 days from the date of death to appoint an interim constable. If not, then it goes to the governor's office. So, I got a call from the parish president, asking, said that Mr. Sheikh Snyder had deceased and wanting to know who's responsible to appoint. He asked me to do a legal opinion on it, and that's what I did. So that is the reason we are complying with state election code, the state election code. We have to appoint a vacancy, and then we have to call for a special election by proclamation in accordance with the election code and the date set forth for elections. So this is how this is handled for a constable, which is considered to be a local office. I can't address any other situation as Mr. Michel is asking.
I think you've answered his question.
Okay.
You gave a thumbs up. And, of course, we're in a deadline because of the 20 days, and this was, I think, done previously with Constable Chubby Chauvin when he passed away. Do we have any more discussion? Does anybody in the public want to weigh in of whether we should add this item on the agenda since this was not part of the original agenda? Public once? Public twice? Any more public about whether we should add this on our agenda? We have a motion to close public comment. Mr. Dirk Guidry, seconded by Mr. Carl Harding. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Do we have a motion to add it onto the agenda? Motion to add on, Mr. Danny Babin, seconded by Mr. Steve Trosclair. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay. Item H is the resolution proclaiming the appointment of an interim constable to fulfill the vacancy for Terrebonne Parish Ward 2. Mr. Carlton P. Pete Rosans Jr. and Mr. Evan Hamner submit application and resume for consideration. We have a motion by Mr. Babin to open, close, and vote. Seconded, Mr. John Amity. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Mr. Hampton, would you like to call a roll call?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Domain?
We're voting for Mr. Roseanne and Mr. Hammer.
Yes.
Mr. Roseanne?
Mr. Darren Guidry?
Mr. Rosans?
Mr. Babin? Mr. Dirk Guidry? Mr. Trosclair? Mr. Navy? Mr. Harding? Mr. Michel?
Mr. Roseanne's.
Mr. Amade? Mr. Chairman, that's 9 votes for Mr. Roseanne, 0 for Mr. Hamner.
And Mr. Rosans is here in the audience. Would you like to say something, Mr. Rosans?
Well, I'd like to thank y'all for selecting me, and I'll try and fill out the duties of it best that I can.
Thank you, Mr. Rosans. All right, moving on to I is the resolution proclaiming, go ahead, Mr. Hebert.
Just for the record, because I've seen it come up in some of the AG opinions about the qualifications, that we did follow the state statute and vetted the qualifications. I had Suzette and Darren amend the forms to include, and of course, I reviewed the forms to make sure the qualifications met the law, and I presume they're accurate based on what we accepted. But I just want that in the record. Thank you.
Mr. Babin?
Yeah, just one question. Mr. Roseanne is being appointed interim until an election takes place. Does this preclude him from running in the election, or is he able to run in the election as well? Well, do you know, Jules? I'm asking. That would be more of a legal.
That's a legal question, and I believe that's a legal question that Mr. Roseanne will have to seek out.
Okay.
I would be giving advice to Mr. Roseanne if it came up and he put his name up as a candidate and somebody challenged it, then I'll address it. But at this time, I'm not prepared to answer that.
Yeah, I'm just hoping he can, if that's what
No,
his
I'm not
wishes
saying
are.
he
No,
can't.
no, you're not. No,
Okay,
that's fine, Jules. I wasn't trying to put you on the spot, nor for you to give a legal opinion to a private citizen. I'm just hoping and talking out loud that he does have that ability to do it. Thank you.
Mr. Navy?
No, I was just expressing something that Jules brought out about qualifications, but they have to follow the same qualifications as elected official, I'm pretty sure, through the state secretary website. So, you know, I think, and that's interesting that brought out, because I think a lot of people need to understand about qualification when they run for office. So, anyway, congratulations, sir. Appreciate you.
Because it's a constable than an ordinary. I don't want to get it, but there's they have a few more qualifications for constable than they do for some other officers, and, because of the nature of the job.
Thank you. H is a resolution proclaiming the special election for the office of Terrebonne Parish Constable.
We did H.
We voted on H, we're on I, right?
Yes.
Okay. I, which is proclaim a special election for the office of Terrebonne Parish Constable Ward 2. Moved by Mr. Carl Harding, seconded by Mr. Danny Babin. Any discussion? You want a roll call on this? Mr. Hampton, go ahead and do a roll call on calling the special election.
Ms. Domingue?
Aye.
Mr.
Point of
Daring?
order.
Go ahead, Mr. Michel.
Do we need to call for public comment
Well,
first?
we did a single motion to add both items on the agenda and called for public on both items. Jules, do we need to do each one
Okay, I didn't know you
individually?
could do that. Okay, good, thank you.
Before you vote on the add-on, you should call for the
Right.
public, if anybody's got objection to that.
But the original motion was to add both items onto the agenda in one
Well-
motion.
I mean, I would call right now for anybody,
Okay, well, we'll go ahead and open up public.
yes.
Do we have anybody who objects to the second item that we added on? Public once, public twice, third time public.
Second.
Motion to close, Mr. Dirk Gidry, seconded Ms. Jessica Domingue. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay. And do we know who made the motion in the second?
Mr. Harding moved, Mr. Babin seconded.
Mr. Harding made the motion, Mr. Babin seconded, that we approve the resolution. Any more discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Oh, sorry, roll call vote, Mr. Hampson.
Yes, sir. Ms. Domingue?
Aye.
Mr. Daring Gidry?
Yes.
Mr. Babin? Mr. Dirk Gidry?
Yes.
Mr. Trosclair? Mr. Navy? Mr. Harding?
Yes.
Mr. Michel?
Yes,
Mr. Amaday?
Yes.
That's 9 votes in favor.
Now, this doesn't say when the special election held, so I guess it would just be at the next available election, right, Jules?
I've sent y'all a copy of my opinion. The opinion addresses, and it's the adopted dates of the next general, and you have the first election, then you have the general. That's gonna be, as I recall in the opinion, I don't have it in front of me, but maybe Suzette can remember what's in the opinion, but it's November and December, I believe.
Okay, thank you very much.
Did I say that right, Suzette? I don't have.
Tammy,
Tammy, I'm sorry.
thank you. Moving on to public wishing to address the council. In accordance with Section 2-07E of the Terrebonne Parish Home Rule Charter, the parish will be heard and can speak for 3 minutes on any matter related to parish government. Without discussion, though, are questions from council members on 9 agenda items. And we have 2 speaker cards. Ms. Talisa Clark.
Good afternoon, everyone.
If you don't mind stating your name and address for the record.
Sure, Talisa Clark, 134 Morrison Avenue, Houma, Louisiana.
Thank you. Go ahead.
You're welcome. I want to say, first of all, thank you all for a great job that you all do within our parish. I put today a speaker card in. Myself, along with some of the residents of Terrebonne Parish, have taken the initiative and rolled up our sleeves to go to work. My sister here on this board, you're fantastic. Thank you. I can call these board members and say we need things done throughout this parish, and I get answers. But I want to say to you today, housing with the slumlords throughout Terrebonne Parish is ridiculous. And I'm going to start here by saying the lilies in the water, okay? We have abatement, rodents, rats. It's creating a huge problem. I pray, it is my prayer that that is attacked, because no one wants to see that. We ride by, walk by, whatever. Keep Terrebonne Parish clean. How can we when that's a major problem? That's a major problem. FEMA, we're in trailers. We're still fighting insurance to get our housing back up to par. I'm in a travel trailer, and the way they hooked up my plumbing is ridiculous. 30 feet from the unit. That not only floods my dwelling space, it causes a major issue. So I'm bringing this before you all because we are your constituents. It's a problem. Terrebonne Parish has a problem. And I don't believe that you can't get no one to work. The people are leaving because the problems are not corrected. So it's my prayer today that some people that's being paid a paycheck get on the horn, do their jobs, or get off and get someone else to do the job, because there are people that's able to fulfill it. That's my prayer.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Any questions for me?
Oh, we can't do questions.
Okay, all right.
Mr. Lionel Lewis Jr.? Go ahead and state your name and address for the record, Mr. Lewis.
Lionel Lewis Jr., 143 King Street, Homer, Louisiana. This is like my third time up here trying to, well, I know y'all can't answer questions, but the lighting in Village East, Thomas Drive, that street now is becoming a safe haven for crime. There's no lights over there. A couple nights a week, high-speed chases. You had a resident shot about 2 weeks ago just laying in her bed. All they're asking for is the light, the street lights. Y'all say, see something, say something, where they can't see anything, to say anything. We still don't know who shot this lady, you know? So I'm just asking if y'all can get with energy and see how fast they can get back there to get those lights on. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Seeing no other speaker cards, we'll move along. We have an item on our agenda. Ms. Darlene Williams wishes to address the council relative to FEMA housing, but she said she wasn't able to make it here today. Moving on to committee reports. Budget and Finance Committee report. Mr. Carl Harding?
Yes, as soon as I find this paper. Yes, I would like to make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Budget and Finance Committee meeting held June 6, 2022, and I have two public hearings. The first one is to introduce the ordinance to appropriate funds related to and for adoption for the operation of the capital budget and for the Terrebonne Council on Aging Incorporated, and call for a public hearing on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. The second one is introducing the ordinance to amend the 2022 adopted operating budget and the 5-year capital outlay budget and the Terrebonne Parish Consolidated Government for the following items and to provide for the related matters. Bayou Country Sports Park, $11,662. General Fund Rotary Centennial Plaza, $18,000. Homer Downtown Development, $286,723. Homer Fire Department, 0. Homer Police Department, LCLE, 0. Homer Police Department, LCLE, 0. And call for a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m.
Motion, Mr. Harding, seconded by Mr. John Amity. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item B, Community Development and Planning. Mr. Steve Trosclair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that council accept and ratify the minutes of the Community Development Planning Committee held on June 6, 2022, and I have two public hearings. First public hearing is an introducing ordinance to dedicate and accept the maintenance operation of streets, drainage, servitudes, utilities, gas, sewer, and rights-of-way for Summerfield Place subdivision, addendum number 18, Phase A. Energize and accept the streetlights and to incorporate the extension of Lancaster Drive into the enhanced 911 emergency response system for the purpose of providing a better means of locating addresses, and call a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022, at 6:30 p.m. The second one is an introducing ordinance to amend certain portions of section 18-289 of Terrebonne Parish Code of Ordinances to remove 9 parking meters along Belanger and Street from Greenwich to Church Street, and 3 meters on the west side of Greenwich Street, number 116 and 117, and 2 meters on the west side of Church Street between Main and Belanger Streets, and amend section 18-243 A to include a freight loading, unloading zone in the place of 3 meters along the west side of Greenwich Street, number 116 and 117, and call for a public hearing on said matter on Wednesday, June 22nd, 2022, at 6:30 p.m.
Motion, Mr. Trosclair, second, Mr. Dirk Gidry. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you all. And that action approves the road connection for Lancaster, which we've been waiting for. And Mr. Toops, now that we've approved the road and it is now part of our parish, could you see to it that maybe tomorrow they could remove the barricades and check to make sure that there's a speed limit sign and all that's there? But thank you. Item C, Policy, Procedure, and Legal Committee, Ms. Jessica Domingue.
I make a motion that the council accept and ratify the minutes of the Policy, Procedure, and Legal Committee held on June 6, 2022, and I have no public hearings.
Second.
Motion, Ms. Domingue, seconded, Mr. Dirk Gidry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Street lights, lights installations, removals, or activations? As per Mr. Dirk Gidry, followed by seconded by Ms. Jessica Domingue. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Vacancies, upcoming vacancies to various boards, committees, and commissions. Recreation District number 6 has 1 expiring term that will expire July 31st, 2022. Rec District 11, 2 expiring terms on July 1st, 2022. And TGMC Hospital Service District has 2 expiring terms on July 31st, 2022. Monthly engineers reports. As per Mr. John Navy. Seconded, Ms. Jessica Domingue. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Announcement, does the parish president have any announcements? Okay, go to councilman. Mr. Michel, you would like to announce something?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. It is with sincerity and transparency that I send my apologies for not being able to attend the meeting this evening and for the next few weeks. I've informed Council Chairman and have requested the ability to attend virtually, as personal attendance could have adverse effects on my health. And at the time I wrote this, I was waiting for a response, and I'm very pleased to say that the Council Chairman, Darren Gidry, the Legal Department, specifically Mr. Jules Hebert, and also the IT Department, specifically Brian Rodri, have been very helpful in setting this up, and I am most grateful. While I'm receiving treatment in Houston, I expect to be back and forth to Houma. My prognosis is excellent, but the process is very cumbersome. I ask for your prayers, and I ask also for your prayers for all who are suffering in any way, as I continue to pray for the people of Terrebonne during their recovery from Hurricane Ida and from their economic woes and just in general. Even though I may be away for days or even weeks at a time, I am in contact with constituents by telephone. If a matter needs to be addressed in person, Councilman Danny Babin and other council people have also agreed to assist me in addressing these needs, and I'm grateful to them. I will continue to stay abreast of the situations in District 3, including the lack of attention being paid to the lateral ditches, the delay in getting the lights working again, and the general disrepair of some of our streets. Please know that there is progress being made on all these fronts, albeit sometimes it appears to be at a snail's pace. And also know that I'm staying tuned into the progress or the lack of progress and will continue to address it accordingly. If anyone has any questions, They can reach me by telephone, and if I don't answer, I'll certainly call you back. God bless to you all, and thank you all for your patience in this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Michel, and get well. Ms. Domingue.
Yeah, I'd like to say congratulations to Miss Paula Rome. She's now our energy contact, and so that'll be really nice to have her on board, so that we are able to report those situations, like the one the gentleman spoke of earlier, and so that'll be really nice. And also, Mr. Michel, I certainly hope you feel better. We really enjoy you up here, and so get well soon and come back to our meetings pretty quickly. Thanks.
Yes, congratulations, Ms. Paula. Our condolences, because you're going to be getting all the phone calls now. Mr. Amadi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We're talking about doing things for the children, and Rec District number 1 will be hosting free family fun days starting June 11th through July 23rd. They're going to be rotating them through Oakshire Park, Shriver Park, and Randolph Park. They'll be from 12 noon to 4 p.m. They're going to have activities, water slide, bounce house. So if you want more information on that, go to their Facebook page and you'll be able to get the specific dates. But starting June 11th, and then every Saturday, they'll be going Oakshire, Shriver, Randolph, Oakshire, Shriver, Randolph, 12 to 4. So I want to thank Rec District 1 for doing that for our children. Thank you, sir.
Yep, Mr. Babin.
Yes, I'd like to thank Medical Science for helping Mr. Michel out and everyone else that's in need of it right now. And I'd like to thank our IT department for the ability to have this. It's very important to realize that we need a full council. The 9 people were represented up here to represent this entire parish. And to have Mr. Michel, albeit by video and Zoom, is a wonderful thing because it keeps this council as a whole. And Gerald, you have been and you will continue to be in my daily prayers. So get well soon and get back over here so I can smell the coffee when we're at meetings.
Or stick the spoon up in it. Mr. Harding.
Yeah, miss you too, Gerald. It's a couple things I want to say. I appreciate the people that came out from the area trying to address the issue. I know sometimes when people that are out there, they're listening, and everybody have their own problem that's sitting in their laps. And one man's trash may be another's treasure. But then sometimes when we elevate in one area, we actually sink the other area. So when we're rebuilding, we want to rebuild across the board as a whole. So I appreciate the people and that came out tonight to let their feelings be said, because oftentimes it seems to them when I speak to them on occasions that their voices are not being heard. But then most definitely their voices are being heard. Government move rather slowly, but then sometimes we have to help to push it. So I appreciate those folk that came out. And Monday, that was in reference to the recovery from the hurricane. We were looking for the number for the facility that would be handling all the matters for those that still are suffering from situations after Hurricane Ida. It is workforce. They are on Alma and Monarch. Workforce, the number is 985-302-0135, serving this area of Iberia, Lafourche, St. Martin, St. Mary, and Terrebonne Parish. God bless. And yeah, again, I still miss Gerald and his straightforwardness. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd like to announce that the Rotary Clubs is actually a joint venture, I believe, from the Sunrise Rotary Club, the Downtown Rotary Club of Terrebonne, and I think Somahoma Terrebonne Rotary Club's helping out. But there's a Buds and Burgers event at Southdown Plantation at 5 o'clock, so you can come out and drink some buds and eat some burgers and have a good time on the grounds of the Southdown Plantation. That's Saturday at 5 p.m. Seeing no more announcements, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion adjourned.
Moved by Ms. Domingue, seconded Mr. Trosclair. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you, Mr. Michel.